Welcome in, welcome in. There we go. I was on a charge with change. Wrong account. Wrong account. Angel Wings. Hello, hello. If everyone could share it out, I would appreciate it. Hello, welcome in, Farah. How's everyone doing tonight? Let me see who else is here.
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Robert Fernandez.
an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing. So, I've got a question.
Yes.
Marge or MargeC?
Marge.
Marge, okay.
Marge.
I just wanted to double check. And how was your day? Good?
Good, good. So I have a question. Do I call you Robert or do I call you G?
Whatever you prefer. It doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you want to call me Robert, that's fine. Or you
Okay.
can call me G. It's fine. Either
Okay.
way.
All right. We're
And,
just waiting on Keith.
Okay. And how does the format work, or how does this work, or how do you guys go about it? Because I've never participated in anything like this.
Oh, so
I'm kind of nervous a little bit.
no, don't be nervous. It's chill. So we'll be live on TikTok and people will be so we'll just be chatting. Keith and Tony will be joining us, and every time the phone disconnects when the 15 minutes is up, you just keep calling back.
Okay.
And keep I'll have 3 phones going off because I gotta keep accepting all the phones. Oh no, Keith is calling on the wrong phone. Oh no, he has to call on the other phone. Wait, I gotta tell him because then the other person can't get. Wait a minute, 1 second. Keith. Hey, Keith, you have to call on the other phone. You only have my husband's number. You're the only one that gets that number. I send the third one. I'll send you the third one. Because Tony's, yeah, that one. Yeah, call that third one. I give Keith my husband's number. So, because I have to have 3 phones going. So he called my phone and Tony's calling this phone. I don't give my husband's number. I don't give that number out to everyone because I'm borrowing his line.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny. I send all 3 numbers. Well, I got to double check myself now, but I know I did it all right. Hey, Paige, welcome in. So I have the live started now. So we're just live talking. It's pretty chill. Hey, Lisa, welcome in. It's just a chill live, nothing. These are all my friends that are here. No, I did it right. So I wrote you, which is Keith. I gave him my husband's number, and I wrote G. You did right, and Tony has my number.
Right.
Yep, I did it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're dealing with numbers.
I know.
There's multiple lines.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the lady that comes on every little while talking about our phone calls are being recorded.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And you know what? And he calls me, like when we talk all the time, he calls me on my main number. On that number. And, like that's my main line. So, and Paige, thank you for inviting some of your friends. I appreciate that. And then, so I have 3 numbers, that I'm using. And then Keith messaged me. He said, by any chance, do you have a couple more lines that we could use to invite more people? I'm like, yo, I don't have a switchboard. How many? I can't do it anymore. Like, this gets a little stressful. Like, the answering all the phones, too. I crack up because it's like, every 15 minutes it goes out. So, and I don't know why. If we don't have to, you don't pay for the calls. I don't know why they do this,
Right. I mean, my wife feels the same way about this. Believe me, my wife feels the same way about it. She gets a little irritated with the lady that comes on, especially when we're having important conversations or the 15-second piece comes on. And, So, I mean, it's understandable. I think everybody gets a little frustrated with it.
Yeah, I hear it. I know.
A prepaid call from...
I always keep track.
An incarcerated
Well, now I put sticky notes on who's on which phone.
California.
All right, yeah. That's a good idea.
And recorded.
One of my friends gave me that, so I have your name on that phone. I have Tony. So here's Keith. Hey, Keith.
All right.
How are you? I have Robert on with me.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
How
you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, Keith? How you doing, bud?
You're the only woman I know with so many phone numbers. You know that, Marge.
Oh, I did this. I did this for you. See? I need to add a few more, Keith. I heard I don't have enough phone numbers for you.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah, can we get it a little bit more confusing, Keith, with all the numbers?
Like, you know what I did, Keith? I'm cheating over here. I was telling Robert, so underneath the phones I have like little post-it notes Christy took home from work, and I have names under which phones they're calling on. So I have Robert, I have his phone labeled, I have Tony, but Tony's didn't call yet. So I have post-it notes.
Okay.
Now we have Tony. I'm looking forward to this too. Tony I haven't spoke to.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I haven't talked to Tony in months. Well, we messaged.
Christian.
Yeah.
An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison.
There's Tony right there, right?
Yes, this is.
Your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or
Right.
for using Global Tel Link.
Tony.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Hi, stranger.
How you been?
Good. How are you? I'm looking forward to this call. I miss you. I mean, we message, but nothing like a phone call once in a while.
Yeah, I've been I'm coming back from the dead. I got to a dark place, but I see my mama, and now nothing can stop me.
Didn't I
Got
tell you
fight
that?
back in me.
Nothing like your mom. I told you
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Right?
Yep. I knew
Needed
you were.
that.
I knew you were down. I knew you were down. But we're not going to let you stay down. That's the whole thing. You're not allowed to stay in that place.
This call and your telephone number
Yeah.
will be monitored
Right.
and
I
recorded.
talked to Tommy today.
You did?
I talked to Tommy. He had some good. Yeah, he had some good things to say. He helped me out too.
Well, I did. Did reach out to Tommy when I found out. So I did reach out to him right away. Yep, I did that too. Hey, Lauren.
Yeah, he reached out. Yeah, he helped big time. He came through. I needed that too because he been through what I've been through. He got denied in 19, so it kind of put things in perspective, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we have Robert on one phone. We have Tony on the other phone, and of course, my co-host and friend Keith is on the other line. What's that? No, has anyone seen Tommy? I did share it out. If everyone could share it again to Tommy, he's in our group too, I believe. But I did share it personally. You did, yeah. I didn't. I haven't seen his name pop up. Yeah, I didn't see it. I shared. Okay, you shared it a couple times, Paulson, and thank you everyone for joining. And everyone remembers Tony. Tony Christian's with us. And Tony,
Yeah,
I did share it with your mom because I'm friends with your mom too. Yeah, I shared it out with her. Oh, and Keith, did you get the message? Because the messages have been messed up a little bit. So Shannon's been about Shannon.
Not yet.
Okay, she says hi, and she said, and her daughter had a baby girl.
Oh, wow.
Cousin Shannon, yes, yesterday. So she told me to give you the message. She's going to try to join tonight. And Mrs. Fernandez is here. Robert's family's here. Hi, welcome. Robert.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, Mrs. Fernandez. Is that your wife? I'm guessing, maybe?
Yes.
Hello. Okay, welcome.
That's
Oh,
my wife.
okay.
Yeah.
Welcome in. I see everybody's welcoming her. My girls are the best here.
All right.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. No, she said I'm his daughter-in-law.
Oh no, that's my daughter. Is that Faith? That's Faith Fernandez, right?
Daughter-in-law. She just says Mrs. Fernandez, 92, next to it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You're talking about, that's my daughter-in-law, Monique.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, and then Debbie's in here. I'm his wife. Okay, we're getting the whole family's
Yeah,
coming
that's my
in.
wife.
All right. Hi, Debbie. Welcome in.
Yes.
So I don't see, is Jamie joining us, Keith? I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
She might
we
be.
have a family visit tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday.
I
so
know.
she's getting
This call
everything ready,
and your
so-
telephone number will be monitored and
She might pop
recorded.
in, but she's busy getting everything ready.
I'm sure. Yep.
Yeah, so she'll be busy. We're
Okay.
just waiting on Tommy.
Yeah, we're just waiting on Tommy. As soon as somebody sees Tom, Lauren knows, and so they could just let him right up because he'll be joining us right in the box there. Hope, there's Hope. She's in the
Yeah.
chat. Yep. And like I said,
We'll give him a few more minutes. We'll give Tommy a few more minutes. If not, we'll start without him. That way we can get this rolling.
Okay. Do you know, was
Got
he
some power
working
outages
tonight?
on here tonight, so.
Did he have work tonight?
I don't know. He said he'd be there, so
Right.
I messaged him.
Yeah, he told me 5:15.
I don't know what the holdup is, but
Oh, that's right. Because he told Tony 5:15. Because that's right. Tony said that's why you said to me 5:15. Yeah.
Yeah. He said he was calling here tonight. He told me for sure he was going to be there. So I spoke to him around 4:45.
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, Jamie. Jamie's here, Keith. Jamie's in the chat.
Okay.
We have 111 signatures on the change.org petition.
Yeah, I know. I was telling.
Let's
I
go.
was telling Tony about it too.
Yep.
I was telling Tony about doing his petition for the commutation too on the change.org.
Okay.
It's just
I want to read Keith.
Yeah, I have it. And for everyone who's in here, we do have it. The link is in my, hey, Scuba Steve. It's in my, the link is in my bio, right on my page here, MargeC. It's right there. Please go sign and have your family sign it. Whoever can sign that, please. It's the top, change.org. I'm good, Steve. How are you? Yeah, we're still waiting, so we'll see. And the girls send it to him too.
Okay.
Can Tony hear me? Tony.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dude? Hey, how you doing?
That's
It went
good.
good. we have a
Pretty good news
reunion.
today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good news today, man. That's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Oh, that. Yeah, for sure. We're going to make it happen, Robert.
Yeah.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. That's good, because I mean, well, you know, it gets a little discouraging when things kind of go like the way they did. You know, that was 2 times in a row it happened to us. You know.
That's spiritual warfare. That's the devil trying to take away that good thing we're trying to do for the kids, man. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I know, right?
It has to be.
Yeah.
This call
Yeah, well,
and
I
your
mean,
telephone number will be monitored.
There's always a greater purpose, you know.
Yeah. Hey, Marge.
Yes.
So what Robert's talking about is we had a big thing. The president from the college was supposed to come down and talk to us. We're going to put on an event for some stories that Robert and I wrote for the kids and a few other guys. And the day before the event happened, 50-man riot. Then a week later, when we came off lockdown, statewide lockdown, so like something bad kept happening to prevent us from getting our messages out there, you know?
Oh.
It's a bummer, but it's going to happen now. We
seconds
talked to the
remaining.
captain today, and we talked to the college, so
Okay.
we're finally going to get that done.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. And Robert, like I said, just keep calling back when it hangs up. You just keep calling back every 15 minutes. So his is going to hang up. I think I see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Marge, we're going to...
I think is that Tom. Here's Tommy. Here's Tommy's
We're
here.
going to hang up as well, that way we're
I'm gonna call
we're
back.
going to hang up as well, that way we're on the same rotation, and then we'll get rolling now that Tommy's in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do the same thing.
now
and then have Tony do it too.
All right, Tony. You're going to hang up too.
Okay.
Everybody's hanging up. Steve, Scuba Steve. That's okay. Today, the court, they really didn't do anything. The parents pled not guilty, of course. We did expect that. There's preliminary hearings on September 16th and 17th. This is on the Harrow hearing, correct? That's what you're asking? And on the Tierra, he was out there looking in the landfills for anything for the baby's remains. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. But that's all we know. September 16th and 17th.
Keith Erickson.
An incarcerated individual
Hey,
at
Tommy.
the Pleasant Valley
This
State
is
Prison,
Global
California,
Telling. You have a prepaid
Wait.
and your telephone
I was
number.
on the phone with Wiley's wish.
You have
An
Angel.
incarcerated
You will not be
individual
charged
at
for this
the
call.
Pleasant Valley State Prison. You have a prepaid call from this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. An incarcerated individual will not be charged.
Let me make sure I got everybody.
Thank you for California.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this
I think
call.
I got you all the same time. I was making sure I got all the phones. I feel like a switchboard operator over here. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
You got to see me hitting all the phones. I panic a little bit, but I think I can handle this. I got it. But Tommy's, hey, Tommy. There he is.
What's up, Tom?
Hey, everybody.
Tommy, my name is
Hey, you guys.
Robert Fernandez. They
Hey.
call me G. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And
All right,
excuse
guys,
me,
ready to
real
roll?
quick, we have tell Robert his son Andrew's in the chat. Welcome, Andrew.
All right.
Your family's here. Look at this. I love it.
Right.
Okay. We're
Ready to go, MargeC?
we're ready to go, Keith. Let's go.
All right, fellas. Thank you for everybody for joining us tonight out in the community, as well as my panel of 4 individuals. Tonight's going to be awesome. First and foremost, the influence of gangs in our communities has been a widespread cancer for decades, and it's counting. No matter what neighborhood you live in or what social economical class you think you belong in, your teen is just as much at risk of getting involved with a gang as the next teen is. Tonight's message is simple. As a parent, as any adult figure in our community, it is your responsibility to be or become educated and informed of the false ideologies and allure of gangs. If you are without the tools to deter your teen from potentially joining a gang, you will want to pay attention to tonight's.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Leading the frontline discussion of this evening's live, we have 4 former gang members of some of the most violent, manipulative,
This call and your
gangs in
telephone
the
number will
California
be
prison
monitored
system.
and recorded.
Together, we have an accumulative number of at least 120 years of incarceration in the system. Along the way, after years caught up in the fast-moving cycle of criminality and gangs, we saw what the future would hold. We were either going to grow old and die within prison walls, or we would be killed. Ultimately, each of us were faced with the decision to stay the course of undeniable self-destruction, persecution, or we were going to start taking back the lives we had once forfeited to a gang and its codes of deception. I am Keith Erickson, former gang member, now serving 5 consecutive life terms in a California prison. And alongside me, we have Tommy Traughber, a former lifer and gang member.
This call and your
who is now
telephone
on the
number will be
street.
monitored and recorded.
Tony Christian, who is serving a life term and a former gang member. And finally, Robert Fernandez, lifer and former gang member as well. Before we get into a deep discussion about gangs, we will be giving you a brief description of our own individual lives. And I will start by going first. I myself have been incarcerated this term since the age of 22. I am embarking on my 32nd year in prison. I have an extensive past in the prison system and more so in the prison gang subculture itself. I know by personal experience what attracts, drives, and influences our teens to join a gang. Why? Because I was that teen. As a child, I was victimized by a heroin addict stepfather, both physically and sexually. At 11, he almost took my life. He was sent to prison, and I was removed from the care of my mother and placed into the foster care system. The remainder of my teen years were spent running the streets as a runaway juvenile, committing petty crimes, and eventually sentenced to the California Youth Authority at the age of 14. Needless to say, I found myself amongst the gangs, a place of acceptance that did not question my early years of trauma and all the dysfunction that revolved in my upbringing far back as I can remember. Next, we have Tommy Traughber, who will give us a little brief history of his life. Tommy?
Hey, everybody. My name is Tommy Traughber. How is everybody doing? I grew up, just like I'm about a middle-class family, right? But early on, I faced a lot of traumas. I went through the system. I went to youth authority. That's where I really first got introduced with the gang lifestyle, was going into youth authority. There wasn't really a whole lot of choice. You were either, with it or you weren't. And, much rather be with it, I guess. Then I went to prison very young at 17, got convicted of got a life sentence. Immediately fell in with the gangs in prison. Thought that was going to be my life for the rest of my life. So I figured I'd, join in with the most powerful group of people in the prison system, especially for the white boys. And that was my life for the next 20 some odd years before I finally figured it out, finally understood that the impact that I was having on my family and the community around me was one that I didn't want that to be my legacy for the rest of my life. So I decided, at some point that I was going to have to switch that around. And I did so. And, I earned my freedom in 2024, March. I was paroled in March 2024 after a lot of work, a lot of introspection, a lot of help, along the way. Keith and I went through it together, a lot of that. And, I'm out here giving back. I'm helping other people find their freedom and helping other people find their way back to a life that is more socially acceptable. Next.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Robert?
Robert Fernandez.
Yes, sir. Hello, everybody. My family, my wife, my children. Hi. Everybody out there who decided to chime in. My name is Robert Fernandez. I'm 50 years old. I've been sentenced to 25 years for a gang murder. I grew up pretty much the same as everybody right here. You know, I grew up in the neighborhood. We're financially challenged. Generational dysfunction. My parents, I love my parents, and I know they love me, and I know that they did the best they could, but they were not equipped to deal with the financial stresses and just everyday life. And there was a lot of drug addiction in the home. There was drugs being sold in and out of the home. There was domestic violence, and there were a lot of challenges as a child that I just couldn't interpret or couldn't understand. And well, I ended up bonding with everybody else in the neighborhood. Everybody else who was experiencing the same challenges, these same things. When there was violence taking place in my house, I would go to the homie's house across the street. And when his family was going crazy over there, they would come over here, and so on and so forth. So we bonded under these similar circumstances. And at the end of the day, the thing is, the whole gang thing is so subtle and so luring that you really don't even understand that it's taking place. And the next thing you know, you're in it. You're there. You're in it, and it's an obligation. I made this obligation as a child. I've been coming to prison my whole life. I've been in and out of juvenile facilities, placements, California Youth Authority, you name it. I've been there, and I'm not proud of it. It's something that I wasted a lot of years on, and at the end of the day, I decided to make the changes that I made, and I'm happy with the changes I made. I'm happy with the man that I'm becoming. I'm becoming a better person, and well, I guess without those experiences, I wouldn't be the man that I'm becoming today. I thank you guys for offering this platform for me, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And I think from there, I'll pass it to Tony.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Good job, Robert. Good job, man. Hello to Robert and his family, and to everybody listening out there. My name is Tony Christian. I'm honored, and it's a blessing to have this platform to speak to you, especially to those of you who are parents of youth who may or may not be struggling. This is a gem of wisdom that you will pick up listening to this podcast that Marge is doing. It's a very special thing in this world that I believe is going to come and make a change in culture, and that's very important. As for my story, I've been an selfish, insecure, violent follower my whole life, pretty much, until this last 7 years, to my turning point. And I've come from teenage parents. They split up at my birth, and I went through my issues with neglect and abuse, just like everyone. I witnessed a lot of violence in the home and around the home, and I normalized violence, and I used violence as a means to control. And it ties into my crime because I shot gang members that I wanted to keep out of my neighborhood. So I was given a life term. I was given 64 to life for an attempted murder. I'm 51 years old with 27 years incarcerated. The first 18 years of my incarceration were spent following my perceived needs for acceptance and recognition. I wanted to be all I can be because I was from a Mexican street gang, and I'm an Italian kid. Coming to my first level 4, I was scared. I was afraid, and I didn't want to get victimized. So I victimized. I used the violence that I normalized to get out of control, to gain control of my situation, to become feared so that they would leave me alone. And I used that and ran with it. I was given positions of authority, and this fed my ego and my selfishness further and further until I became a validated associate. And one of the violent prison gangs that we all see in here, being in the shoes, stuck. You know, you live in there and you see that this is life, this is the end. When I dropped out in 2018, I began to reinvent myself. I started to address, I fell into this thing that we all fall. I think every one, four of these men that spoke to you can talk about this. I call it perpetual victimhood. Many inmates come and they spend their whole lives blaming the system, society, the man, their victims, their witnesses. We never do anything to address our own behaviors because it's everybody else's fault. But I got tired.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I got into some groups and I did the work. I addressed the issues that I could and managed the ones that just can't go away. That you, some things you just never leave you. You're going to be selfish to an extent, but you're managing to do what you do. And here today, I'm helping, doing good things now. I'm running groups. I'm in college. We're writing stories. Me and Robert and Keith, and you know, there's something that Keith is doing that I want to say before I end my portion of this story. Keith, you're doing a really good job. It's called servant leadership. You're helping other people reach their goals in life. You're helping raise other people to a different station. And when you help people grow like that, you grow too, buddy. It might be a private victory, but it ain't too private because I just put it on blast. That's my story.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Yes, man.
Thank you, fellas, for giving our listeners even a small glimpse into the lives that brought us here tonight. You know, what's crazy is what seems so different on the surface. Keep in mind, audience, we're all four of us are from different gangs. We're from different parts of California. And a lot of times these gangs out in the communities, we're feuding with each other. You know, we're coming into the prison system either feuding with each other or forced to get along with each other. And in all its transparency, when you really get to know us, each one of us is the fabric of similarity that makes us so much alike is the fact that we all grew up watching people, listening to people, and emulating everything that was taking place in our lives by the people that were immediately around us. Like, you know, Robert said earlier, he said that what started off as being so subtle is just a friendship with another guy in his neighborhood and guys getting together, and that's how it becomes. Like, it's not a consciousness and awareness of knowing right from wrong, but it's what I've shared before on this platform. It's that our belief system, it starts to develop and take shape based on...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And the exposures that we have. Ooh. And long before we even discover who it is that we actually become in our life, ultimately as children, as teens, we were always living for others rather than ourselves. Like, having that in mind, when we return, we're going to go through a series of questions that I want the community to keep in mind before we do start another conversation. So everybody call back.
Everybody call back. Okay. Oh, here. Could you hear me? Testing. I just want to test the mic out. Is the sound okay?
Sounds good to me, Mark.
Okay, thanks.
Everybody sounds good too.
Here's where I get stressed out now when all the phones go off at once. I don't know if this is a good idea. Tommy, it's so good to hear you again. I'm so glad you're here. All right, here we go. They're all called at once. One.
This is Global Tally.
Two.
You have a prepaid call from
Erickson.
an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. Thank you for using Global Tally. This call and your telephone number will be monitored.
I think I got everyone.
You have a prepaid call.
I got it. We got everyone. We're back.
All right, we're back here. This is about as grassroots as it gets right here, right?
I'll tell you.
This is really yes, this is really from the ground up right here, making stuff. So again, like, you know, as our listeners, there's a series of questions I want you to keep in mind before we dive into the conversation.
And the series of questions is for the community. Just keep these in mind. As a parent or as an adult in your household, what is going on in your home today as a parent? Like, what is really going on? What needs are not being met with your teen as a parent or adult figure? And why are the streets winning with your teen instead of them finding the value in being home and being within your family unit? Are you willing to be honest and admit that you need help with your teen? Finally, how do we as a community prepare our parents for gangs? How do we confront them as a community? And how do we do more than just talk about the risks, but actually do something tangible that's going to make a difference? Dive into the conversation, we just ask that our listeners keep these few questions at their thoughts. We're up here this evening to highlight these areas of concern because we want to actually make a difference. I know these men on the platform, and I know how passionate they are about change and about helping young teens make better choices. But I know they're just as passionate about actually wanting to make a difference and do something instead of just talk about it. So, what do we do to get back to the basics of parental guidance? Remember, the streets only win when we allow them to do so. So, in opening the discussion, first of all, as I throw these out there, you guys, like anybody could speak on any one of these topics on this format. So feel free to let us know who wants to cover each one. So our very first one is like actually identifying the gang structure. Like, what is the gang structure in the community? How is it similar to the one in prison? Like, what are the things about the structure that become so alluring? I know, Robert, you touched on it a little bit in your bio. Like, what makes the structure so alluring, and why is it so alluring for a teen out there in the community?
Well, you know what, TK, that's a very good question, and I mean, these are one of the questions there that do need to be addressed. These are the things that these are the questions that need to be addressed, and then once the questions are answered, there needs to be action behind it to change it, you know? And
yeah,
the whole thing here with the gang thing, right? So when there's things that are happening in the household, right? There's dysfunction, there's drug addiction, there's violence, there's abuse. There's a lot of things there that are transpiring in the house. The child wants to get out of that.
This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He wants to remove himself from that situation, and
This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Go to where he feels safe, you know, and these are the people that they feel safe with. When there's danger in the house, they go where they feel safe. And I think that's just like a natural instinct right there. You know, that's just what we do. You know, as children, that's what we do. You know, and well, then it becomes once that transpires, after that it becomes a loyalty thing, because what's called you opened your door to me when I was in need. You know what I mean? So I'll be there for you, and it becomes a loyalty thing after that.
This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And then it just transpires from there. It just blooms from there. And then all the hardships and the protection and all this stuff, it just goes hand in hand. And well, I mean, these are the things there that need to be discussed. And I'm glad that we're able to discuss them on this platform, because at the end of the day, there are other adolescents, other children out there that are in need of guidance. They need the tools. There are other families that need assistance with their children. And like you said, Keith, I mean, I know amongst the Hispanic culture, the Mexican culture, it's very frowned upon to ask for help. It's a sign of weakness.
Right.
It's a sign. It's a thing that is frowned upon to ask for help, and it's a really sad thing. It's a really sad thing, because there are times where people need help and they don't ask for it because they are worried about how they're going to be looked at or what they're going to be thought of. And in all reality, those are not important. The important thing is that they get the help that they need. That's the important thing right there.
So I like how you touched on basically it's like a misplaced value and loyalty to the gang itself. Like, you know, as former gang members, what what they fed us as being unconditional acceptance was not actually unconditional at all, because it did come with conditions. Again, it came with that sense of being loyal to that gang and valuing that gang and turning to that gang and even by putting ourselves into harm's way. And a lot of times it was the gang before the family. Like, it's just crazy how that value, the structure of it, where what's supposed to start off as unconditional acceptance, it translated to, in actuality, what can you do for us? Or what are you willing to do for us? You know? And the stakes Tommy and Robert, all of us can identify with it, is it's like it's an investment into that gang, because it just doesn't start off as that small boy where we're making investments into the gang, the little things by hanging out with the homies, carrying dope or doing whatever, but it gets serious. It's serious stuff, like for us that came into the system to continue the gang lifestyle, where now what are you willing to do? Are you willing to put a knife in your hand? Are you willing to hurt somebody? Like, are you willing to take somebody's life? So that value, in that misplaced loyalty, it becomes a part of the structure that either you follow it or you pay the consequences for it. And it's no longer, it never was unconditional, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's the fine print, right? That we neglected to look at. I mean, it's a sad thing, because once you get to that point to where they're wondering, what are you willing to do for us? That's when it's like, man, at the time we feel it's too late. You know, like we're all in, and it's sad because we make these decisions as children. This is to join a gang and to participate in the things that we participated in. That wasn't an adult-sized obligation that we made as children. We lacked foresight, and we didn't understand that. We didn't know exactly what this entailed, and until it was kind of too late. I mean, I don't like to say too late, because it's never too late to change. But there was parts in my life that I thought, well, this is it. This is what my life is, and this is what I'm transpiring. This is what I'm going to do. And that's what it was. And you're absolutely right, Tommy.
Yes. So I wanted to say this right about that. We're talking about the structure, but I think it's important too, man. For me, anyway, it's like the first time. And don't get me wrong, my family told me I loved them. They loved me, but it was like I felt loved. I felt accepted, right? And it was huge. And if you ride for me, I'm gonna ride for you, and that's kind of how I felt about it, you know. And because I didn't think anybody had my back in that way, until I got into the system and I started running with the fellas and stuff. It was like once somebody said, "I got your back," and they showed me that they had my back, I would do anything for them, bro. Anything, and it didn't matter what I would cross any line, bro. And I think that was like huge, and looking back on it, I realized that was part of the manipulation, right? Is we got you, and make you feel like they got you, but really it's not that they have you, they want you. They need you in order for the gangs to survive. They need you. You know what I mean?
Your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But they make you feel like you need them. You know what I mean? But it's in reality, in order for the gang to survive, they need more people. They need numbers coming in. They need more recruits, right? So they make you feel like you need them, and it was part of that whole cycle, Because I know for me, man, when I got to YA, dude, I felt like I was on my own. But when we'll call it the woodpile. When the woodpile came in and said, "Hey, we got you. We're gonna ride with you. As long as you ride with us, we'll ride with you." I was like, "Cool, let's go." And then I felt like I belonged to something, and I wasn't alone anymore. I was like, okay, I got people that have my back, and it felt like a family structure, and You know, that was huge for me because I didn't have that growing up. You know, my parents were in and out. I mean, don't get me wrong, my parents weren't. You know, I'm one of those kids that, man, I didn't grow up in a family that was addicted. I didn't grow up in a family that had like you know, huge problems. There was a lot of abuse in my family, but there wasn't like it wasn't like I didn't grow up. I grew up in Nevada when I was young, but then I moved. We moved into like a upper middle class neighborhood. My parents owned businesses, things like that. But there was nobody home. And then when they were home, it was always fighting. There was always turmoil in the house. So I moved. I moved out of that in order to get away from, you know, just some, you know, abuses and things like that. You know.
Right.
I like what you said. I like what you said about structure, Tommy, like versus dysfunction. Like we all, you know, I grew up in a dysfunctional household. I didn't realize how much structure appealed to me and how I looked at it as something in the gang structure as being something that, like, I don't care what any kid says, they would rather have structure versus dysfunction at the end of the day or over any day. Like, because that structure, it gives that place of safety, like Robert was saying earlier, like, gives it that certainty of what's to come throughout that day. You know, living in that dysfunction, you're in that, like, high anxiety mode throughout the course of your life where you don't know, you start questioning everything around you because it's not structured, it's not permanent, it's not organized. Everything is so dysfunctional that you start turning in on your own self and going, who am I? Like how do I identify with myself when everything around me is so messed up, you know, and so not right. So for me, that's why I found structure of a gang as a place of safe. Like I knew what was going to take place. I knew what was going to happen until obviously it did. I got deeper into it and it consumed me so much that I wasn't actually living for myself. But as a teen, not having that structure at home, I found that outside the home, even as in a negative aspect that it was running the streets and committing crimes and being organized about it. Like I knew what to expect, you know? So Tony, can you identify with that?
Yeah, I can identify with the structure. For me, structure came in the form of identity. Being part of a gang helped me establish something that I didn't have. I had very low self-esteem. I thought lowly of myself. And when I got from a gang, they gave me an identity. They made me bigoted. I was Tiger now. And they also gave me a uniform. I wore Nike Cortez and the tank top and the cut-off khakis that they wore. And we switched pants to make it look like we had more than 2 or 3 pairs. And they gave me a uniform, a name. They gave me the love that I got love from my family when they were home. They loved me, but like I said, I lived in 2 homes, and they always moved around. So wherever I always went, I had to go with them. And just living like that, you don't know who you are. You lose track. You think you got to figure everything out by yourself. So you go to the streets, and you find that structure. When there's nobody home in your house, and you don't know what to do, you're bored.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Turn to the street. You find that structure. You find that identity. You find that uniform. You find that sense of being.
Right. Everybody want to call right back? Let's do it. Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Do it. And thank you everyone for the gifts. I don't have a free hand because I'm holding a phone and a mic. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from. This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from.
Erickson.
An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or you have a prepaid call from Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid Thank you for using the
Okay.
link.
We just have Robert now. We got everyone. Here we go. We're back. And real quick, Robert, your son Adrian is here also. He said hello.
Hi, Adrian. I love you, Mio.
Okay. I didn't want to forget that. Yep, we're all back. Okay.
I think I would say to the yes, I'm back.
Yeah, Tony's back.
I think what I would say. Okay. So for the parents that are listening, when it comes to structure, I would ask that you make sure your child knows that he or she, where she stands, that he or she is part of a family, that he or she doesn't need to go look elsewhere for that structure, for that guidance, for that acceptance, for that recognition, that they're loved, and process their trauma. See how your kids process their trauma. These are very important things because we're 50-year-old men going to groups to learn about what happened in our childhood so we can correct our behaviors today. If we could skip those years and do it now while these children are young, if we wait too long, their minds are going to close and they won't be so open. They say the mind's like a parachute. It only works when it is open. So when they're young and they see a fight, let's say they see a fight in their house. Let's say you're the parents and you're fighting each other and you slap the crap out of your man or vice versa. Talk to your baby boy or girl after and say, hey, how did that make you feel? What did that make you believe? Like, what do you think about all this? Let them know. Don't let them walk away from that thinking that violence is okay, that this is normal. Don't let them believe that that's how you use violence to control people when words don't work, because it will stick with them and it will manifest itself in their behavior as time goes by. And if you wait too long and their minds close, it'll be very much harder to get through to them because they get established in these beliefs. That's something I just want to tell the parents.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
And the appeal of gangs, it's that misplaced value. The greatest allure of gangs is simple. Like, they offer and they advertise and promote everything that our teen is actually lacking in the household. And by no means is that to say that you're failing as a parent, because like Robert said earlier, it's for a lot of us it was generational. It's how our parents were raised and vice versa. But what it does mean is that it's time to step up and actually value that appeal. Like taking that power back and tipping the scales, in favor of your family, your household over the gang. As parents, we got to recognize this by understanding the appeal itself. There is an appeal.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
There's an appeal when you're not getting those needs met in the household, and you're seeing all these things like, that term, do as I say, not as I do. Like, we're being told these things at home or how things are supposed to be, but yet we're seeing it for what it is and how they're going on at home. And, growing up, I found that the most, significant things that I bought into with the gang, that value was the sense of belonging, like identity, purpose, validation, inclusion, safety and security, physical, mental, and emotional needs weren't being fulfilled and being met at home. So I can go out into the community to a homeboy or to a buddy and feel that sense of even just being heard in any minute way. Having power and control over self and my surroundings that were perceived as threatening. As somebody that was experiencing sexual and physical abuse at home, I wasn't getting that out in the streets. Even if I was running the neighborhood and staying in people's houses that were dysfunctional, they weren't to the level of me being assaulted and abused in my own home by my own parents, and that family structure, that unity, that togetherness, autonomy, no matter how false it was and how much we bought into it. The biggest misconception is that only teens from dysfunctional or violent homes are falling victim to gangs. and the appeal of them, but
This
it's
call and your
absolutely
telephone
wrong.
number will be
Misplaced
monitored
value.
and recorded.
It's common in all walks of life, period. Like, we just have to start valuing, and that's what's beautiful about hindsight for us. A lot of us, I'm 53 years old, almost 54, and like, you know, fortunately now I have the personal growth that I do have, but I wish to God at that age that I had somebody that would change the dynamics of what was taking place in my household, you know,
Right.
because that's where it all started, you know.
Now, speaking of change like that, that kind of brings like Tony and I and Keith, you're aware of it that like we're working on these things for these at-risk youth. These are like, I mean, we are what you would call somewhat community experts of our own communities, and there is you can get these guys with these all these fancy degrees and stuff, and they can come in there and they can spit this knowledge from this book, you know, from these books, these college books and all that stuff, and they can spit it in a way that a lot of people might appeal to, but at the end of the day, they don't have the experience that we have, and they don't have the understanding that we have, and I think that I've been working with Tony on a few things. I'm actually working on some other things as well for it's a curriculum for at-risk youth. I think that we have the knowledge and understanding to be able to make a change, to give these kids, other kids that were growing up like us or in similar situations as us, the tools necessary to be able to deal with the environmental stressors, the substance abuse, the criminal thinking, and everything, all the ugliness that comes with all that. I don't think that you have anybody who's better equipped to assist these adolescents, these youth, the way we do. We like you said, we're 50-year-old men already, and we're starting to educate. We're getting educated. I have numerous classes with both you, Keith, and you, Tony. We've been taking these college courses. We're striving towards the same area, and I couldn't believe the recidivism rate, how they broke it down. Okay, so like if you have a GED, you have I forget what the exact numbers were. I think it was like 60% chance of coming back. If you have an AA, an associate's degree, you have like a 30% chance. If you have a bachelor's, it goes down to 0% chance.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So with the knowledge that we possess, the community knowledge that we possess, and the understanding of prison and how this thing functions in here and how it works, and just the whole, we have like a whole view of this thing that I think it becomes a very valuable asset and a very helpful asset to deter these children from participating or even trying to flirt with the idea of coming down this road. Man. It begins with grassroots things like what we're doing right now. This is an amazing thing. This is an amazing platform. And
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I think it's a very awesome thing.
Yeah, grassroots. Amen.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Absolutely.
And if there's any questions, you could type them in the chat if you have any questions.
That's all I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to take
That's for sure. I would love to hear a parent get involved right now and ask a question, something that you're struggling with at home, some advice that you might need on how to approach your child and what you can say. Sometimes hearing it from a parent is not going to work. What you can say. Sometimes hearing it from a parent is not going to work. Sometimes including them to hear from someone like us who lost life and and are fighting to get it back, and to learn to value our freedom and our lives again, and other human lives. I would love to hear the question.
I will say, like, I'm gonna say this, right, for myself anyway. Like, when I really started messing up and my parents like tried to get involved, by then I had already distrusted them. You know, uh, so it's like, and don't get me wrong, my parents loved me to death. I think part of the problem was that I just didn't trust them anymore, and I trusted my friends and the people that I ran with more. You know, and that was huge. So as many times as they tried, you know, had one of my friends, and that's the weirdest thing, right? Had one of my buddies and decided, hey, let's get our stuff together. Somebody that I respected and looked up to, I probably would have done it, right? But
Right.
they were just as traumatized and hurt as I was. They were going through the same thing, and the lack of foresight, all those things that, as kids that we don't have. We were all facing the same challenges. We were all coming from very dysfunctional households. We were coming from places where we felt not as loved or not as accepted. And I think that was huge for me, is the acceptance, right?
Right.
Like, I didn't feel like I had a place in my own home. I felt like I was always messing up. Like, I never got told that, hey, I'm proud of you. You're doing good. I want you, keep doing this, or none of that. For me, it was always, if I did something wrong, which it could be as little as like not vacuuming the floor when I was asked to, or when I was expected to, and I would get, berated sometimes for the whole day, the rest of the night. And then so like that's what I say about, like, I lost that trust within my family. They lost trust in me to do the right thing, but I also lost trust in them that they had my best interest at heart. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So,
That's good for parents. Parents could take a chip from what Tommy just said right now. There's hidden things in what he just said as far as praise is concerned. Praise is very important. Some of us went into gangs and we chased that feeling. When we stole a pack of cigarettes, or we did our first shooting, even though we
This
didn't hit
call and
nobody,
your telephone
the
number will
homies
be
like
monitored and recorded.
the homies would be like, "Damn, that's right, Ed.
Mhm.
Tony's crazy," and you start to like that recognition, right? Because at home you're just being told, "Man, don't you ever take out the damn trash? You don't go to school. You're a F up. You don't do shit. You ain't gonna be shit. You're gonna end up in prison," and that's all you hear is negativity. But when the little boy gets an A, there's no like, take him out for pizza, man. Celebrate those victories, because those are the things he might start chasing. That praise instead of that negative praise that he gets from the streets.
Exactly. Yep.
that's exactly right. Because
Mhm.
I remember looking back, and my parents may have a different perspective, or they might remember it different, but I can very rarely remember being told that I did something good. It was only when I did something bad that my parents even paid attention to me. And that was huge, because my friends, man, it didn't matter what I did, they were always there for me. They were always like, yeah, this dude did that. And
Yep.
he's a good guy, or he's down, or I would show loyalty, and they'd be like, you know what, Tommy's a good dude. He's got a good head on his shoulders. That's a good dude. Oh man, Tommy he stabbed that guy. Oh my god, Tommy's a good dude. He's a gangster.
You
All
have
those
60 seconds remaining.
Absolutely.
phrases,
Yeah.
I was told
Yeah.
how good I was when I was doing the worst.
Oh, here we go. So Keith's phone, his ended. Do you want to all end and we'll call right back?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay. All right. Tommy, one of my friends in here, Paige, her husband knows you. He's in Donovan.
Who's her husband?
Paige, I just met her on this platform. It's so funny that I just met her, but he knows from calling in. He's listening too. And she's like, I think he knows from your voice the last time you were on with me. And I just said, is it Tommy? And she said, yep, it's Tommy. Wait, she'll come on. She'll be in the chat.
I think she follows me.
Everybody knows you. Here she is.
An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison in Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. An incarcerated individual
She's such a sweet person. Tommy's my dear friend.
This call and your telephone number will be
Look,
monitored
he
and
recognized your voice, Tommy, from inside, okay?
That's crazy.
Isn't it? From
Yeah.
like when you were up in the box, he recognized your voice from inside, and he's in Donovan. I met her. She found my live, like from the For You page on here, and she just started following me, and we became friends. I love
That's
it how
cool.
this brings you together. And she's like, my husband knows Tommy. I'm like, are you like everyone knows Tommy?
You know, I did a long
You know
time.
what? It might not. She might not want to put his name out here. I can get.
That's
I'll
okay.
talk to you after about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we follow each other. If she wants to share, she could share it in my inbox, you know, or whatever
Oh yeah, you could always message Tommy. Yeah, Tommy's pretty cool like that. Yeah.
I'm not,
Yep.
but yeah, she I think I know who she is. I think we follow each other now from like the last time.
And she's
But-
listening, and he's listening in on the live too. He's
Okay.
calling in also. He's on her phone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder where I remember. I mean, where he knows me from. You know,
Yeah.
different stages in my life. I might owe him an apology, is what I'm saying. You
Right.
know? Not because I victimized
Let's
him.
see.
Not-
No, I know.
Just in general, like I wasn't always the nicest guy, and I always didn't have everybody's interest at heart, you know, instead of my own.
All right. So we see. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's any questions so far. If you have any questions, please feel free. Don't be. There's no question. You could ask any questions. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Any question. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how personal. It doesn't matter. I mean, I might not give you my social security number, but I'll give you a lot of other. You know what I mean? I'll give you Keith's.
You give him keys so you hear him. But
So I've been working on this curriculum, and I talk about something called a shift in moral development with the teen, right? It's like, you know, we're still talking about the appeal of the structure with the gang and what the kid's not getting at home. And when I talk about the moral development shift, I talk about where, as a result of the child not getting his emotional needs met at home, like they start to experience what we call a shift in the moral development, where it's no longer about who they seek and find the answers to difficult situations or feelings or circumstances in the teen's life. It becomes less and less important than just whatever they can get to fill that void altogether. And it doesn't matter who it's from. So for me personally, as a child, my dependency with the gangs, it started to grow and flourish as I started to build other relationships with other teens that were associated with the gang, and what our commonalities were with each other, you know, what they were rooted in, whether it was things that were happening at home or were not happening at home. So a question for the community is, I know these are very hard questions to ask yourself, but as us in here on the platform,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
if you're struggling in the community as a parent or as an adult that's so far detached from this lifestyle, is it easy or is it difficult for you to actually see how a teen, despite their home life, what you see on the surface, seeks a place within a gang after hearing our stories? Like, is it still difficult for you to wrap your mind around the fact that it doesn't matter what our home lives are like, you know, on the surface, kids are still seeking a place within a gang out in the street.
right.
You know, and I know it's a very hard thing to admit, but it's like, that's why we're here. We're here to take a proactive stance as former gang members as people that are advocating for change and that do want to do something. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on this platform. Like, it takes a community effort of honesty, you know.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we want from our listeners. So
I think that's key too,
you
right
need
there,
questions.
right? Is the honesty, right? And I think that for I'm just speaking from my childhood, right? Even when my parents were faced with the reality that, hey, maybe they weren't doing such a great job, they refused to admit it. You know, especially, and you know, no disrespect to my mom, but especially to my mom, right? I don't think she'd admit it to this day. You know, that like a lot of my behavioral issues were a result of, you know, stuff that was going on in the home, not just
Call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
not just something that, you know, not just she said, oh, you were just wild, or you were just this, or you were just that, right? When that's not the case. There's nobody that's ever inherently just a terrible person, right?
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
No, you're just not born a terrible person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
But
like you
that's
said, like kids are kids no matter what. You just never know.
yeah. And you know, are there some people that are, you know, I don't know. I don't even know if, you know, we talked to Marge about them guys that used to talk to that were just
Oh,
irreparably broken, right?
yeah.
I don't think they were even that, right? I really don't. I believe that they were just so wrapped up in their trauma and they felt so safe by the way that they behaved that
Right.
they refused to even acknowledge that maybe there was another way, you know?
Exactly.
And,
You're right. Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, I tried, like, I had two children. One of my son passed away at age 28, but I have my daughter. And you know what? I always tried to be their biggest cheerleader. I have three grandchildren till today. Like, my grandson's 12. Every day I worry about, I just want Christy's son. I worry about them every day. You know, that's what you do. You worry. And thank you. And it's like every time he comes in with that report card or a good mark or does something good, it's like, oh my God, like, you know, I praise him, I buy him something, I just like, you did great. They need that. They need to hear that. Not only the bad stuff, they need to hear the good stuff too. Like, I'm my grandkids' biggest cheerleader, I'll tell you, I really am. And I tried to do that with my children too when they were growing up.
You know what's really funny about that, Marge, and be really honest, when we are taught how to communicate and to give like feedback to people,
Hmm.
we're taught to do so by giving two positives, a negative, and then a positive.
Right.
Point out two things that you're doing right, then point out the thing that you're doing wrong, and then end on a positive note, right? But when you're at home, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's, you know, not always, you know, sometimes you have to address the negative right there on the spot.
Right.
But at the same time, don't leave it on a negative. We talk about that when we train dogs. Don't leave it on a negative. Go back to a positive, you know?
Okay.
And what it does for the dog is it gives them confidence, right? And I think that's what we all lacked as kids, right? Was the confidence in our parents, a confidence in our home life that we were maybe not, for whatever reason, each one of us comes. It's really eerie. We all come from very different backgrounds and very
Right.
different parenting styles, but we ended up in the same place, right?
Exactly.
And we have very similar circumstances, and this because it's like Maya Angelou said, right? A person doesn't always remember what you do, but they remember how you made them feel, you know. And when you don't feel accepted or wanted, that's a hard thing for us to get over, you know.
Very
And
true.
and then when somebody comes along and they go, dude, you're one of us. We got you. We got your back. We don't care who that person is. We don't care what that person's motives are. We just go, cool. Finally,
Yeah.
somebody accepts me. Somebody
Right.
understands me.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? That's one of that's one of those things right there too. Because like, okay, so my kids, my boys, hey, I have quite a few kids. I have 8 children. My boys, they grew up in the same situation I did. I was always in prison. I was never home. I was never there. Their mother was struggling with her issues. And at the end of the day, my kids were able to pull out of that. And they are not gang members. They are all respectable members of the community. My son, I have a son that's a carpenter journeyman. They all work. They all have jobs. My granddaughters are in military school. My wife, she's a CNA. She thrives in the community, and like my whole support group now, like I don't know. I can't take really credit for any of it. At the end of the day, the only thing I can say is, if anything, I was the example of what they didn't want to do. And if that's what it was, and hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take that, But I'm very proud of my children. They broke the cycle. And I'm extremely proud of them all. I'm extremely proud of them all. And that's one of those things right there, man. I mean, there's just sometimes there's just like success stories that do come out of broken homes and tough environments. I mean, there were times we were homeless.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Things like that, and they still made the decision, the choice to do the right thing. And I'm extremely proud of my family, my wife. They're awesome. And the changes would be a lot more difficult for me to make without them. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's an awesome thing. It's a good thing.
What's your boy's name, Robert? What's your two boys' names?
Whose name?
Your boys. The ones you just spoke on.
My wife, my wife there is Deborah Fernandez, and then my son Andrew, and Adrian, and my granddaughters, and my daughter. They're all just like really good. They're really doing the right thing, And like I said, man, none of them are gang members. To me, that's amazing.
Great.
Especially knowing that they grew up the same way I did. They just didn't make those choices, those same choices. It's like, man, I see them do it. I see my family doing good, and it makes me want to do good. It makes me want to be a better person. It's good team.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think good job, Adrian.
I think having those conversations is important. I think a lot of parents in the community or adults, they take for granted that, like I have two beautiful stepdaughters as well that are in their early teens, Mia and Kaylani, and they're girls. They're not from, they're from a different side of town where I assume that, the gangs aren't like prevalent up in their face, but, me and my wife, this past year or two when they got into junior high, we started having those conversations. Because even though we felt like those conversations weren't really like severe, like in dire need of those conversations about gangs and the influence of gangs, I started to take into account that, like, what is the underlying surface of our teens that are getting involved in gangs? Because, we all learn in CGA, it takes one or two persons to make a gang with the same mindset and, the same intention. And so I started having those conversations with them. And I think they also...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
It's like, like what Robert said, like, they're the example of what mistakes not to make because they have consequences that are long-term severe consequences. So I could totally relate to that. But it's important to have those conversations and not put them off. And I think a lot of parents out there in the community, they feel like they don't apply in that moment or that time. Like, why wait till it's too late before you have the conversation?
All right. Here we go. Okay. Pull back, everyone. All right. All right. So this will be a two-part. We're going to have next week also. Because
Okay.
Keith called me. I mean, Keith messaged me. He's like, "Do you have an extra couple phones so we could have more guys call in?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? More
Yeah,
phones?"
I had a couple guys, but it wasn't like it was kind of like last minute for me. I didn't know. He kind of like threw it at me at the last minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was like, yeah, I called a couple guys that I work with, and because who better than the guys who are going
Are they're on the outside?
yeah, they were inside for a
Well,
long time.
that's easy. They could come in the box,
Exactly.
Oh, 1 second. Yeah.
An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded. Thank you for
Do we have everyone?
link.
I think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Robert, Tony? Okay.
I'm here.
I see. We got everyone back. Okay.
So let's kind of touch on some of the gang methods and tactics that are used in recruiting. Like, just kind of briefly touch on it. One that really stands out to me is one of the most significant tactics of all is probably what we refer to as generational influence, where, if you have a family, that has got a long-standing history of gang involvement or that lifestyle, like that's a hard cycle to break. And a lot of for a lot of guys, Hispanics down in in Southern California, like a lot of you guys, Tony and Robert, you guys seen it. It's generational where guys in the neighborhood, it'll go through one generation to the next, and they're kind of born into it, and they don't have no like. So it's kudos to somebody that can create that success story out of that and get out of that, and it's not easy because that's a lot of pressure, that's a lot of expectation, and for me that's probably the most significant tactic of all is feeling like you're obligated to represent that neighborhood or that color or whatever. Like it's a hard thing to break away from it. So as somebody that has children, like that's a hard thing to do, to say, you know what, I'm gonna because you got like let's be honest with the community here, you guys. We got guys in here that like husbands and wives that are dressing their kids wearing all blue, wearing all red, like they're like born into that, like, and they really don't have no say. So it takes a lot for a man to say, you know what, this isn't the life for my boys, my girls. Like, I don't want you to live like this, like me. Like, what are some of the methods and tactics that you've seen that they use to reach our teens in the community?
Speaking. Okay, so now the whole recruiting thing, that's man, and that thing right there, it's crazy that you brought this up, because the whole recruiting thing, like when you're recruiting these kids, I mean, like I said, okay, so where I'm from, I started a gang. I mean, I started a gang, and it's still there to this day. And this was in the early 90s that this was established. And the recruiting process there is I mean, you're looking for kids that come from dysfunctional households. I mean, that's what you're looking for. The mom's out with different guys. She goes out on the weekend. There's nobody at the house, and it's crazy because once I got to a certain age, I understood. There's a story of this. Okay, so this guy that I met. His mom, and she was dealing with drug abuse and things like that, and it was him, and he had a brother and 2 sisters. And I met them, and they ended up moving into my neighborhood. And I had told him he wasn't from the neighborhood. He came from a different city, and he moved there. And I had told him, like, look, do not get involved. Do not get jumped in. Don't do it. I told him because I already knew. This is like I had already had the understanding that this is not a good thing to get involved in. You weren't born here. You weren't raised here. Don't do it. I remember one day I went to their apartment and I walked into the living room and he was on the couch and I looked at his face and he was all lumped up, all beat up, and I just shook my head and I told him, "You got jumped in. I told your ass not to do that. No, I told you not to do that." And it's sad. I remember feeling a sadness about it. You know, I felt sad because I was like, man, you don't know what you just signed up for. So time passes, and now that he's part of this team, there's all the homies are going to their house. The mom's gone on the weekend; she's out partying or whatever, and all the homies are over there at the house. The sisters are dating this homie, that homie, the other homie. Next thing you know, man, they found his sister dead in the orange grove. And it was one of my homies ended up, he was dating her, one of his sisters, and killed her and left her in the orange grove. And man, I felt terrible about it. I mean, to this day, I still think about it and I feel terrible about it because, I mean, I told the guy, and it's crazy because when I was in the county jail and I was fighting this case, I seen that dude in the county jail. And I hadn't seen him for years. I haven't seen him for, I mean, I'm talking about 20 years I haven't seen him, dude. And I seen him, and he seen me, and he stopped at the grill gate where we're at, what separated the unit from the rotunda right there, and he stopped and he called my name, and I was, "What's up, man?" He told me, "I should have listened to you. And you know what? I felt so bad about it. You know, I was like, man, I'm sorry, because I never even had a chance to tell him sorry about your sister or anything, because I got busted, and this happened while I was incarcerated. But I told him, man, I'm sorry about your sister, man, and I'm sorry. And those are the type of things that people look for, or we look for. I used to look for, and everybody who was in the recruiting would look for these things. We would test these dudes. We would heart check them. See where they're at, what kind of heart they got, all that stuff. And man, it's
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It's almost predatory.
It's technically
that whole thing works. It is predatory. That's it.
You know, we're all YA babies on this platform. Like, all of us are YA babies. So we grew up in the juvenile system in the California Youth Authority where that's what we were taught. We were groomed for that. Like, we did it on a day-to-day basis just to do it. Like, you know, and it's crazy because I haven't thought about that for so long that was the grooming period for me where
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
right away we became top candidates for the gangs because we were YA babies. We already knew the ins and outs of recruitment, and sadly, like, it's sad that conscience goes away, and it's shameful to say that today, that, you know, the same tactics that were used on us, we actually used it as well on other people, because, you know, it was all about the numbers. It was always about, like, we knew in order for a gang to exist, we needed those numbers, just like Tommy said. And we pumped out the same false promises of, you know, what's to come. Good things are to come for being a gang member. But what a gang doesn't tell you is, they don't tell you about the consequential thinking in the end, like the long-term effects that, you know, the things about turning your back on anyone and everyone at all costs for the gang, you know.
Right.
And that's sad, because that predatorial behavior, like Robert said, is we adopt that as part of the ideology of the gang subculture, because we use it as a means of survival. Like, we're so insecure as young boys. I say this, like, you know, everybody on this platform is familiar with Arrested Development. Like, we,
Oh, absolutely.
we're going through these stages of development as adolescents, and we stop growing in that particular area where we lack emotional intelligence, and we were insecure little boys, and we start wearing these different masks and putting on these facades, and they become our identities, and we're willing to feed into those at all costs because we don't want the world to see who we really are beneath that. And we were scared little boys, so I totally relate to that. And they're false promises, and we promote them for so long, and at the end of the day, we're living in this lie that we're promoting this lie that we don't even believe in. Like, you guys can all admit, we reached a point in our being gang members where we didn't even believe in what we were doing anymore. But we feared the consequences of not doing it. Like, were we going to get moved on? Were our families going to get killed? Were people going to really see us for who we are? Like, who am I going to be without the gang as my identity? Like we all stopped believing before we walked away, long before we made the final decision to walk away from the gang. I know I did. For one, I didn't believe in it towards the end, but it still took me a long time to dig myself out of that hole.
To 100%. 100%, Keith. I remember thinking, I was sitting there active thinking this is a whole bunch of freaking garbage, but I had to keep up that facade, right? And then being in a position of authority, I was more afraid. I didn't believe in the thing. I was more afraid to give up my power. You know what I mean? Because like you said, when I give that up, then what? I'm vulnerable, right? That vulnerability is the thing that I ran from my whole life. And now here I am.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Even though I don't believe in the cause or in what we were doing anymore as any kind of, there was no honor in it, bro. And I knew that. But the problem I had was like, how do I get rid of that fear of being vulnerable, right? Because now I'm not talking about just emotionally vulnerable either, but physically, right? We're in a dangerous, we live a dangerous life.
And your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And we made a ton of enemies along the way, And how do you now give up that authority? How do we give up that authority now that actually gives us that power, gives us that security, right? That physical security, And I mean, even that was a facade, but we believed that part of it. So even though I stopped believing in the cause, I still believed that my physical, well-being was, and yeah, my family and everything as well too, because we're all witnesses to some of the things that happened to people who left that lifestyle, right? And if they couldn't get to them, what did they do? They got to somebody else close to them, and so that was one of those fears as well. But that was 30 years into it, you know what I mean? And I think our goal today is like, we highlight that stuff as a way to say, hey, you don't, if this is what you're going to do, this is the people you're going to put in jeopardy, right? It's not just yourself, it's everybody that you love, everybody that you think you care about, right? And at some point, we didn't give a shit about that. And I'll be honest, I'm one of them, right? I didn't care about putting my family in jeopardy and all that stuff because I didn't care about myself, let alone, and I didn't think he cared about me. I thought these other people cared about me quite a bit more, I learned that hard way that you do, But
Yeah, exactly.
Tony has a perfect example of what degree of self-sacrifices a teen willing to make for another gang or a gang member or their gang. I know Tony had written something in his curriculum about the test of commitment with somebody. Tony, what was that question that you asked them? What was it? Say it again. You asked the team something about
Oh yeah.
Would be willing to kill for their gang or okay. What is that?
Bag of snakes? Talking about the bag of snakes or the
Yeah.
guns. The bag of snakes? Oh yeah. So what I would tell them, let's say we had the kids right here in front of us. I was able to talk to him, right?
Yeah.
So I would ask the kid, and this comes down, we're talking recruitment tactics right now, right? Like that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So basically, oh, you want me to call back?
Yeah, because
60 seconds
all the
remaining.
calls are ending now.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Yeah.
call back. Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. Here we go. Yes, thank you, Cindy. Tap, tap, tap. Let's try to get those likes up. Thank you. Thanks, Katie. If you could tell. Let me see.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from. This is Global Tel-Link, an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link. You will not be charged for the. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Okay, we're just waiting for Keith. That's it. We have Robert and Tony. We're just waiting for Keith.
Yeah, basically, on recruitment tactics for me, right, there's quite a few. The ones that stood out in my life the most was, I would say, peer pressure and influence.
This is Global Tel-Link. You have a prepaid call from.
You know, they glamorizing the gang culture by the way they dress. Like, the people around me, they would have increased down to the bone, have a nice chain, brand new shoes, selling weed. And I looked to that like, damn, man, I want to be clean like that. Like, that has a little nice car, and you know, all the girls like him, and they glamorize that. And that's the big homie, the older homie. I wanted to be like that. For me, that was one of their recruitment tactics, even though it was inadvertent. It was, I glamorized the gang culture, which comes to this story that keep wanting to tell you guys about. This story, I would ask the kids, but I would have to be in front of them to ask them. I would ask them, if I put a bag of deadly poisonous snakes right here on this table in front of you, tied up the top, and I ask you to put your hand in it, would you put your hand in that bag of snakes? Obviously, the kid's going to say, nah,
right.
Heck no, right? I'm not doing that. Yeah, heck no, I ain't putting my hand, I ain't stupid, right? I'm not stupid. They're going to say something like that. You know they're going to say that. The next, I'm going to ask them, well, what if you heard all the rappers on the radio saying that they put their hand in that bag of snakes every day? It's like nothing. This is how we do this, homie. This is how we roll. Put your hand in a bag of snakes. Would you do it? Obviously, the kids are going to say, no, heck no, man, I'm not doing that, right? They're going to say that, right? Then you're going to say, I'm going to ask the kid, what if all the girls in school will want to be with you? Everybody will look up to you and respect you in school if you just stuck your hand in that bag of snakes one time, just real quick. Would you do it? And then, you know, the kids obviously are like, nah, heck no, man, I ain't trying to die, right? Then you hit them with the catch question. And then, why would you want to be part of a gang when your mom, your dad, me, and everyone who loves you is telling you you're going to end up getting smoked, put in a wheelchair, or go to prison? That's worse than a bite on the hand from a snake, isn't it? And now you got them thinking. It's a thought-provoking question. It's a loaded question because you set them up to stand firm on the no, and then you make them think about it, right? And those are the type of questions we need to ask kids. You know, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah,
another one.
You know, this scared straight tactic. It's growing up, I remember the first scared straight program I went to as a juvenile. And my thing was, okay, here we are. I got this guy yelling at me, threatening me, and right away, I remember as a teen just shutting down, like, you know, if this conversation is not being had in my own household, how are you going to take this child in the community and take them somewhere and have some perfect stranger sit there and tell him about the consequences when you're not even upholding that end in your own household? So to me, it was just right away, I was shut down, and you know, the only way as a parent or an adult in the community is to take away from that, you know, from the false promises, and expose them for what they are. Like, you know, have the conversations about the false loyalty and the lack of, you know, the deception of what protection you're going to have, or the trust, or, you know, how, you know, they talk about family, like, expose it for the truth that it is, because, you know, that truth that
This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it leads to consequences. Here we are, you know, we're 50-year-old men in prison, still paying for, you know, the crimes and the things that we've done all these years later. And, you know, they do lead to consequences, but they don't tell them that, you know. We don't tell them that when we're promoting that lifestyle, you know.
Right.
And that's what we got to do, is we just got to have those conversations.
Yeah.
You know.
And another thing is glamorizing the gang culture through music. So I know a lot of today's music, and I know a lot of when I grew up music in the 80s and early 90s. And there's songs that used to come on the radio that my gang friends would listen to, and everybody listened to in my apartment complex. It would say stuff like, "The boys in the hood are always hard," and then another song by NWA, "Gangster, Gangster," that's what they're yelling. And then you hear another song, "Rolling with my strap on the side of me." All those songs send these little messages, and everybody's bobbing their head. So you start bobbing your head, and you start repeating it. You might sing that "F the police." You ain't never had a bad thought against the police in your life. You'd actually call the cops if they broke in your house, but you heard that song so many times
Right.
behind you.
Yeah.
And then another thing is today's songs. If you heard today's songs on the music, the rap music, and I still listen to it. The only difference is I know it's a lie. I know it's entertainment. Back then, you hear, if you're 12 years old right now, you know what you're hearing? You're hearing right now on the rap station, "If you ain't gang, I don't fuck with you." Even on the radio station, "If you ain't gang, I don't mess with you." Like, what kind of message are we sending to kids? And if the parents are bumping that, they're automatically assuming that's okay, because what we do as parents today, our kids will do tomorrow. If we're not sweating them on school, then they're not going to value school. If we're not sweating them on other little things in life. If they're being substance abuse in the house, they're drinking, then they're going to think drinking's cool. It's the same thing, aggressive beliefs. If you're driving down the street with your kid and somebody cuts you off and you say, "Get the F out of the way, mother effer," your kid's going to do the same thing when somebody takes his pencil at school, because that's how mommy handles her dispute. And that's not okay. What we do today, our kids will do tomorrow. And that's little stuff. We're developing a belief system. And that's important as parents. And I wanted to talk. I've been in prison my whole life.
This call and/or telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I regret.
You know what?
Every second.
You know what's crazy is we're all 80s, 70s, and 80s babies, and you know, Tony's right. I go back. I've been in prison for 32 years, so I think about, like, my perception of a gang member back then is a kid with, you know, wearing the colors, wearing the baggy clothes, and, you know, doing, you know, you can kind of, like, can identify him just by that look. And so today's gang member as a teenager is totally different than what I remember them as, you know. So so it's different. So it's kind of like, but at the end of the day, it's so it's weird. Like, so then I just had a time capsule moment right now. I went back and I'm like, because now you got gang members now that are wearing the skinny jeans, and they're like, it's totally different. Like, it would seem harder for me to identify what a gang member is today, you know, as a teen. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right.
They
You know,
also
we're up
explain-
against so much. Mainstream media is powerful because there's so much that our kids are. It's like an overload of information and content for our kids to. They're exposed to so much stuff out there, negative as far as what's going on in the world. To not have those conversations and not head those things off at the pass, and have those conversations about the consequences, the long-term impact that even the little choices that they make can have long-term effects. You know, you're allowing the gangs or the negative influences in the community to take your child away. Like, sadly, because you're missing those moments, those opportunities to actively, you know, expose the truth for what it is. And that's what we're trying to do, you know. That's what I want to do. Because we do. We have the experience, you know.
Yeah, I mean, those the social media, there is a lot of influences. That's a lot of influence. But I believe Tommy said it earlier. These guys, they come across as confident. You know what I mean? They come across but when you start educating yourself and understanding what true confidence is and where it comes from, for me, for example, I can see through all that false bravado. It's a facade. It's a veneer. It's not real. And it's crazy because even right here at the prison I'm at right now, I sit here and I see these younger guys, and they're talking crazy. They're talking crazy, and I sit there and sometimes I don't mean to be ear hustling or side busting them, you know, like listening to what they're saying, but sometimes they're like really close to me, and I can overhear the conversations that are taking place, and I think to myself like, damn,
You know.
at one time or another, I sounded like that dude. You know what I mean? I talk like, and it's kind of embarrassing now. You know, I'm like, damn, you know, like, what was I thinking? And I could see through all that false bravado, all that machismo stuff, and I think Keith said it earlier, and I think Tony said it. I think we've all already said it, that what lies underneath that fake bravado is a scared young man. Yeah, as a scared young man, you know, and it's like that type of talk, that type of lingo, that type of style of doing things. It's a deterrent. It's a deterrent. You know what I mean? And that's what it's used for. It's used as a deterrent to deter anybody from challenging you or pulling those covers to see what really lies underneath, and so on and so forth. So it's a thing. It's a real thing, and
Yeah, you know, we were great. We were raised up to not, we were raised to not show that vulnerability. That, so it's a big thing. It's like Robert said, we put on this facade because we were raised not to show that level of emotion, and sadly, like that's, it's taught early on that you can't act a certain way or speak a certain way or show people a certain side of you. That it's sad because you shut off all those emotions, and then you overcompensate with all the other things that you're, like you said, those conversations that people are having, talking just nonsense, like, and it's crazy. And as older, 50 years old now, I hear guys saying, I just think, man, I wonder if I ever sounded that ridiculous, I wonder if I ever sounded so freaking obvious. Because to us, it's obvious now.
Right.
Like, to us, it's obvious because we know that when you know now. But it makes you look at it and go, man, did I really sound that idiotic,
Mm-hmm.
Did I sound that obvious to some people,
Right.
yeah.
This call
I
and
still
telephone
fall
number will be
victim.
monitored and recorded.
I still fall victim to that, and to this day, and I'm a work in progress. But there's been times where I got angry, and I'll say to myself or to a trusted confidant, "Man, I wish you would." And then I have to tell myself, "No, you don't."
Right.
No, you don't.
Yeah, being older, we're older now. We're like, no, you don't. No, you ain't trying to fight nobody. You're scared of.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That's that anger talking, right? That's that emotion that we didn't process when we were younger. We didn't learn how to speak out. We hid it so long, and that'll mess you up. I remember sitting in the cell, and I think I told you this story before, Keith. Where I'm watching.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Ooh! Well, this little girl,
You have
and she put
60
some
seconds remaining.
Cheerios. And she put the Cheerios. Oh, I'll tell you when we come back.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
go. Oh. All right. They'll call us right back. How's everyone doing tonight? Jamie, are you getting ready for the weekend? I heard you're busy getting ready.
I didn't know my microphone.
It's been on and off. There it is. Good. Okay. 1 second. Oh, we got all three. Let me get this.
Paid call from
Anthony.
an incarcerated individual. An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Columbia, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You will not be charged for this call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, thank you will be monitored. Thank you for using Global Tel Link. You will not be charged. Thank you for
Okay.
using Global Tel Link.
We got everyone back.
Everyone's back. Hey.
Yes.
Okay. So it was just a quick commercial, right? It was a Cheerios commercial. I'm sitting in the cell, level 41880. I think I got the yard at the time too. So I'm the shot caller, right? And I'm watching this. And my cellmate is sitting on the top bunk right above me. And we have one TV, so we're both. I know he's watching the same commercial as me. And the little girl sees on the Cheerio box, the little honeybee says, "Oh, it's heart healthy. It's good for your heart." So the little girl knows her daddy's heart has high blood pressure. So she puts the Cheerios in his jacket when he goes off to work. So when he gets in the car, he packs his jacket and he puts Cheerios and he smiles. And for me, I wanted to cry like a baby because it made me think of my little daughter was that age and her, right? But I held back every ounce of me so that cheer wouldn't fall down my face. And my cellie might look over and think I'm a big old wussy, right? So that right there is just to show you how strong those outdated thinking that we adopted from our certain family members. If your father was the type to show no emotion, if crying said, "Why are you crying, little Nancy girl?" or whatever, they say. And we adopt that thinking it's not okay to show it. It can mess you up later on in life. And now I cry all the time. And there's times I'm crying. Like I watched The Lion King and start crying because I held it back for so damn long. It's all curled up in my head, I think. Right? So, and that's important.
That's right. Nothing wrong with that, Tony.
No.
Right.
Yeah, I got a question. So when did you guys wake up? Right? When was the moment?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
When was the moment you guys said, "Oh man, this is stupid"?
Enough. Right. Enough.
My change happened in 2017. Is when I made the choice to walk away from it all. My whole thing was, so my crime, the crime I committed, well, obviously it was murder, and I was asked to commit this murder. I was not asked, I was told to commit this murder, and I made the choice to do it. And I remember sitting in my cell thinking it was over. It's over. And there was all kinds of political stuff involved in this stuff. These politics, they get hairball, and it was just a big old messy thing. And I decided to I decided to walk away from it. I made the choice to walk away from it, and it was kind of like for me, it was like a weird thing because what's called, I felt this weight lifted off of me, and at the same time, I didn't really know who I was. You know what I mean? I had lived this way. I had this identity. I had this persona, this thing that I was attached to my whole life, and I walked away from it, and it was just a surreal type of thing for me that I had to actually find out who I really was. I had to learn about who I truly was, and well, and like I said it earlier, like I love the man that I am today. Yes, I am an ex-gang member, but I'm also a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm a brother, and I'm a son. And those are the things that I take pride in now. You know what I mean? I take pride in myself. I take pride in my education, and it was a choice that was made, and I'm okay with that choice. I'm happy with the choice I made, and I wish I would have made it sooner. That's what I do. I wish I would have made this choice sooner. But my choice happened in 2017. That's when my choice took place, and like I said, I love the man that I'm becoming, that I am. You know.
Yeah, mine was in 2001, 2002. Similar to Robert's, one of my crimes was that I committed on the streets was at the direction of my prison gang. I was ordered to carry it out, and a lot of politics were involved outside of just myself. And then when everything came to light, when everything started to fall on certain people, they threw me under the bus, or when I wasn't willing to do something else I started seeing things for what they were. Like, we're talking about the false promises. I got up there into the bay, up there in Pelican Bay Shoe, and I got around a lot of the guys that, I grew up idolizing and wanted to be like, and I started to see the ugliness of what it really was. And, somebody tried to cover their tracks, political wise, and they'd asked my cellie, which, thankfully he was a good friend of mine. They sent him a kite, told him to kill me in the cell, and he had confided in me and told me to just cross the medical and not come back. And that was a hard decision to make, like Robert said, because having been sentenced to the rest of my life in prison, I was like, man, like, this has become my identity. Like, what am I going to be without this? So it was hard, and there was a lot of emotion involved. Like, I felt betrayed by the gang. I felt betrayed by certain people. I felt like an idiot for buying into it, even though for years up to that point, being on Indeterminate Shoe up there in the Bay, like, I knew it was all a bunch of nonsense. Like, I had finally realized that, but I didn't have that nudge, that push that I could make it on my own. So at the time I wasn't courageous enough to make that decision. And I made it under that pretense of, I'm pissed off. I'm like, and I still refused to lock up. I still went out there when I went down to Portland Shoe, and they put me out on the the group yard, and I went out there and assaulted another inmate because I refused to lock up. Like, but after that, I just woke up. I was like, man, I can't spend the rest of my life like this. And, I'll be honest with you, I spent a lot of years after that coming on the SNY side where I was still making living the same way, using drugs, drinking, fighting, that criminal mentality. I felt like, even though that I transitioned to this side, like, I hadn't fully, committed to it, like, in my heart. I felt like I had reservations. Like, I was upset that, like, I had that bitterness about what the gang, that choice did to me by causing me so much. And I think it's that I needed somebody to blame,
Right.
But along the way, I started to do the work on myself. And
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it's hard when you get as old as we are and you start having to. It's like having to go through like a rebirth, like spiritually, like mentally, like emotionally, like all these things that we weren't taught growing up as that we were taught to repress or ignore as children, as young men. Like now we are having to address all that stuff. So it took a lot of time, and it's like Robert and Tony said. I'm just as proud as who I am today, and I look back on it now, and I think to myself, it wasn't necessary, and I see the value in it. There's, although I am an ex-gang member, again, I'm also I'm a good man. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. Like I'm somebody my brother can be proud of now and talk about out there in the community amongst his co-workers, instead of being ashamed that his brother's in prison for taking the life of another human being. And but that's what I mean. It's life. It's so hindsight and so profound that it's just a matter of perspective. Like I can look at my past as being like something that I'm so embarrassed and ashamed that I don't want to talk about it, or I can see the power in owning it and using it now to help other people. So it took a lot of time to get here to where I am today. So
Right on. I love you, Marge.
Love you too,
You're doing
Tony.
an awesome,
Tony.
You're doing an awesome thing here. You know that? It's so
Thank
therapeutic.
you.
I
Thank
can't
you.
believe it. I'm sitting here smiling. I listen to these two men talk about their things, the pride that they have in the new men that they're becoming, and disdain for their past. And this is what it's all about. This is like a mini self-help group on steroids. I can't even tell you. It's great. You're doing a great thing.
I love it. And I couldn't do it without my co-host, Keith. Oh, we lost Tommy. Wait a minute. Oh, are you coming back up, Tommy? You good?
For me?
Oh, no, Tommy. I think his phone. Yeah. I'm going to send you the invite back. Okay, one sec. There he is. Okay.
I dropped my phone, and when I caught it, I don't know. I must have dropped it out of it.
Okay.
Well, we were talking about. I was listening to Keith talk about like when I asked the question. I asked that question specifically because I think for me it was twofold, right? I think remember when I went to the shoe. I was validated I was sitting in the validated building with all the homies. And I realized I had fought my ass off to get here with all these guys, and I realized that all the honor and things that I had attributed to these people was false. It was fake. These guys were petty. These guys were just vindictive. They didn't have any kind of like care or love for anything. All the work I put in to get there, they didn't give a shit about none of that. All they wanted was drugs, and they wanted to know what kind of gossip that I could provide for them. I could have told them anything I wanted, and they would have believed me, right? And it didn't even matter if they believed me. They would have used it, to hurt and manipulate other people. And
Your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I think that was the first time for me that I realized that like the gangs that we were involved in weren't about race. They were about power and control. They didn't give a goddamn about anybody. Excuse my language, but they didn't care about nobody or their race. They cared about the power that they could have, the money they could have, the control that they can, And that was when that illusion kind of went away from me, right? I didn't leave for a long time after that. But
your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But I also knew at that point I knew that these people were a bunch of false, fake, people who didn't care about anybody, didn't even care about themselves, let alone anybody else. And if you weren't one of them, and if you weren't part of their little, and even amongst themselves, they were killing each other and fighting each other over. I mean, I watched a guy get killed over a baseball game because they had an argument over how many runs the guy gave him or whatever, right? And it just insane to me. So I lost that allure. Then it kind of like later on, that stayed in the back of my head for a very long time. And then eventually I said, you know what, I'm done. And I didn't feel bad when I left. I didn't feel like I was letting them down anymore. I didn't feel like, because that, for a long time, I was like, I'm going to be the best gangster. I'm going to be the best convict. We used to use that word convict, right? We would use that interchangeably as like, if that meant something, right? And I
Right.
would say, I'm going to be the best convict I can be, right? No matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does, I'm going to be better than them. But really, I was just being petty and just messed up like the rest of them, you know? And
Right.
then that was when, when I started to get my change together, that was when I finally said, you know what, it's time to go. I'm gonna move. I'm gonna move on with my life, and I'll deal with the consequences when they come. Making that decision. But every consequence so far has been a good one. You know.
That's what I was going to ask. Are there consequences when you leave?
Yeah,
You have
absolutely.
60 seconds remaining. You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, you get people.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, you want to call back because Keith already hung up. He's got call back. Okay. All right, Robert. Yeah. This was good. This was good conversation. I enjoyed this. And we're going to do part 2 next week. So.
This is Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Erickson.
an incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley Global Tellink. You have a prepaid call from. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Coalinga, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. An incarcerated individual at the Pleasant Valley State Prison, Global Tellink. California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Okay, we have everyone back now. Here we go. Go ahead, Tommy. You can finish.
Yeah, I was finished. I was just
Oh.
that was the moment when I decided, like, I didn't know how I was gonna get out, but and it took me another 10 years to finally leave. But I left because 2017, because I knew that I wanted to go home. Honestly, I had already started making changes. I just knew that, like, at the end of the day, I didn't want to live that life anymore. I didn't want to be that person anymore. And so yeah, I left. You know.
Right.
And then we were talking about consequences. There were consequences. There's people I thought were my friends that turned out not to be my friends. There was things that happened. But you know what? The consequences weren't just bad. Consequences can be anything, right? So the good thing is, I got my life back. And I was started making decisions for myself, not based on somebody else's idea of what I should do or what I shouldn't do. I started making choices that were real choices that that benefited. And I didn't do it for my family like some people did. I didn't. I did it for myself. I just didn't want to be that guy anymore. I didn't want to be that guy that was killing people and hurting people and doing stuff.
Right.
I didn't want to do that no more. It just wasn't who I was. And I allowed it for so many years to rule my life.
Right.
But we're back, Keith. What's up, Keith?
That's like us standing, that's like me standing in front of a line of.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
In front of a line of 15, 20 kids, knowing what I know, knowing the life that I've lived and what I've gone through, and saying, am I willing to just not share? Am I willing to just not do anything about it at all? Because there's no immediate risk that these kids are headed down the same path. Like, it's inevitable that 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 will experience the same things that we've experienced. A lot of the same things, and it's like now I feel like so convicted and so conscientious about that. Is like I feel a duty to do that. Like I feel a duty and obligation to make that not even possible. To make that not even possible that another teen has to go through what we we have gone through in our lives, because it's a shitty life to live. Like, think about it. Like our lives have been hell. Like up to the point where we started taking control of our own lives and our individuality again. Like, we've lived some very chaotic lives that we're lucky to be living, standing, and breathing here today. Tommy's lucky to be at home right now. You know.
Yeah.
And it's humbling. It's very humbling, because knowing what we know in the life that we've lived, it's hard for me to not do nothing, you know, to do something, you know, to help another teen or somebody's child, or you know, it's hard.
I'll tell you what, man, you're right. I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of people. I'll say for me out here, you know, I understand that my freedom is something that's been a gift to me. And I say this a lot. I don't think that I deserve a day out here, right? But I did earn an opportunity for a second chance. I earned it. I put in the effort, I put in the work, and I did it, right? But I also understand too, though, that, you know, with the crimes that I committed and with the things that I did to hurt other people, I don't deserve a day out here. You know, I don't deserve it, but I have earned it, you know? And I take advantage of it every day. You know, I take advantage of it every single day. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for what I have, you know? And as you know, what you guys know, you know, Keith, you might know some of it, but you know, I've had some terrible things happen to me out here since I got out, you know, but none of them are any more terrible than some of the things that I did to other people in my life, you know? And, you know, and I mean, like, you know, I'm a truck stolen, and, you know, on Tuesday, I found out somebody somehow or another got into my bank account, stole all my money, you know, I don't know who or what or how, or, you know what I mean? But you know what? It's all good, you know? It's all good. The bank said they'll replace it. They're going to do investigation, all this stuff. Cool. You know, I was stressed out a little bit. I was like, man, it's rent day and I ain't got no money now. But, you know, it is what it is, bro. You know what I mean? I'll survive it. I'm not in prison. I'll figure it out, you know? And that's how I look at it, you know? I'll figure it out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not in there. I'll figure it out. And I've developed such a support network since I've been out that, you know, as soon as you know, there was a little bit of shame, or I don't know about shame, but like embarrassment that came with it. So I didn't say anything right away. You know, I was just kind of like, man, what am I going to do? You know, and I kind of stressed on it. But I had built such a support network out here that when I did start talking about it, everybody was like, hey, if you can't do it, let me know. I got you. We'll throw in, we'll pitch in, we'll do this, we'll do that. Make sure you know. And I'm like, man, that is so cool, you know. And these are people that I've met since I got out, you know, people that are, you know, struggling sometimes as much as I am, but they'll throw in a couple $100 or whatever, you know. And, you know, and they didn't have to. Thank God they didn't have to. I was able to muster it up and, you know, and take care of it, right? But it's still, you know, it was good to, you know, those are what true friends are about.
To know there's people there. Yeah, exactly.
Those are true friends, you know, that they're willing to put themselves, sacrifice some of their own comforts. And you know what I mean? For good, for something good, not for some fake, false belief system, or not at the threat of somebody, or, you know, and, you know, that's the friendships that we want these children to make, right? We don't want the kids to be like, you know, doing, you know, it's about decisions, right? It's about, you know, what is going to affect the rest of their lives, you know. And every day we sit out here and we fight, you know, look at us, man. You know, we're fighting tooth and nail. Look at, you know, the things that Tony's gone through in the last couple of weeks, you know. And you know, but you know what, as hard as it was, he still made the right decisions, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's important, right? And he was able to do so because he has learned those tools. You know, he's dealt with those traumas and he's learned those tools, you know. And that's what it's all about. You know, is giving those kids the opportunity, but also giving the parents the recognition they need. Now, we're not going to reach all the parents. Some of these parents are going to think that we're nuts. You know, oh yeah, we're doing a great job. but that's because they can't get out of their own way. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Processing your own traumas too. A lot of these parents, they would have their baby just like my mother had her baby as a teenager. So they're still trying to figure themselves out. And sometimes they use the yelling at the kid and not and tearing them down to make themselves feel better because that's all they know. That's what they experience from their household. So, you know, what we first need to do is get help for the parents. Then they can learn how to help the kid. Right?
And I think that's where it starts too. Like addressing the children is one thing, right? But I'm gonna speak on my, you know, at least for myself. When I was growing up, I went through programs, group homes, camps, you know, ultimately youth authority, and some of those places, man, they really helped me. I came home with every intent to do well, right? But then when I got home, I just returned to the same environment I had left, you know. And the only position I had in my household was as the black sheep, you know. That was my only place to feel. That was the only place that they had for me. They didn't trust me. They didn't have any kind of like. My brother was the good kid. My sister was the princess. You know what I mean? And I was the black sheep. You know, and it never changed. And when I came home from prison, you know what? It hadn't changed yet. It still hadn't changed. But that's when I had to set my own boundaries.
Right.
You know, love my family to death, but they didn't do the work that I did. You know.
Yeah, it's like there were moments in my childhood too where I think about like transferable values. Like I recognized values that other people had, but I didn't identify with the transferable values that I was getting from my parents. Like, you know, the people that brought me into the world, like that's who I felt like. I always felt myself wanting to please them no matter how bad things were. I always mirrored what was going on at home. So, you know, if I went to a group home or a boys ranch or juvenile hall, you know, I learned, I was given, you know, the opportunities to do good. But again, like Tommy said, when I got back home, that it caught up in that dysfunction, I found myself like, again, to do as I say, not as I do. Like all the values that I watched my mother and my stepfather placing in, you know, and all the wrong things like that was like, you know, they never emphasized getting a good education. All it was just go to school, you know, just go to school and get it, you know, get enough to where you don't get held back, or it wasn't respect the law or authority. It was more or less don't get caught. And it was, you know, when it came to being honest, it was only be honest when you need to, or, you know, it was always, and even with good work ethic, it was about taking shortcuts. I didn't know what setting goals was. I didn't know what taking accountability was. You know, everything that they were telling me to do, they would do the total opposite. So, you know, it comes down to those transferable values. Like I wanted them to show me. I didn't want that outside the home from anybody else, because, you know, I felt like, you know, a big part of me is I was a little version of my parents. Like, you know, they brought me into this world, and that's what I wanted, you know. So I think that for the community, it's important that, you know, like keep in mind as parents and adults in the community, like you got little versions of you walking around and they're emulating everything that you do in your everyday walk and your actions and your attitude, you know, the way that you speak, the way that you respond. Like you said, the way that you respond to situations. Like think about it, Tony. You know, Tony just went through a tough few weeks of resentencing. Imagine if he hadn't done all the work and he just, like, you know, he got shot down at resentencing and just flipped off and said, to hell with it, I'm going to go do something stupid. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying is as a parent or even as adult figure, like your everyday walk has prepared you for that adversity, because life happens. It's going to happen, you know?
Well, you brought something up. I think we're all at the point now where we understand that is no longer an option. I mean, to conduct ourselves like that, or to deal with situations, or deal with stress like that, is no longer an option. And I think, I think Tony's doing an incredible job. You know what I mean? Got back up.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And forward march, right, Tony?
Yep.
That's right. Thank you.
Yep. Straight up.
Thank you. You know, you guys struck a chord in me right now when you were speaking, because I started thinking about, like, why did this hit me so hard, and why do kids? It correlates, and I'm gonna explain why. So, if you knew me,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
denial. It always does that to me.
I know.
You have 60 seconds
Well, Noah,
remaining.
let's finish it. Call me right back. We'll continue with you, okay?
You have 60 seconds.
All right, Robert, call back. Oh. He sounds so good, Tony. He really does, Tommy.
He does. He sounds way
So much
better.
better. Yep, he does. He was so happy you reached out to him. He was telling me.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've been where he's been.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a person.
Yeah, that's true too, you know.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Erickson.
an incarcerated
They're
individual
all-
at
Global
Pleasant
Tel
Valley
Link.
State
You have a
Prison,
prepaid call
Coalinga,
from
California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You have a prepaid call. Well, not be check-
Coalinga,
Thank you for
California.
using
This call
Global
and
Tel
your
Link.
telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
You have a prepaid this call
Thank
and
you
your
for
telephone
using
number
Global
will be
Tel
monitored
Link.
and recorded. You have a prepaid call. Will not be Thank
Okay.
you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, Tony, so go ahead.
Okay, so I'll try to make it quick. Basically, if you knew me prior to this now, you knew me as a naive person who's, trying to do as much positivity as I can get in a day. And that goes from exercise to work, school, to extracurricular projects, and even socializing and helping people. And I had a ball in play. I had a plan. I knew where I was going. I had a purpose, and I told you. But when I got denied, my plan of the courts resentencing me or having hope dangling above me and the carrot that I'm running after with all my actions are leading to one thing, it disappeared. So now it took me a while to reinvent that carrot and to put that new plan, motivation, hope above my head. In the last week, they changed two major laws, one concerning people who have 25 in, and one concerning gang, people sentenced to gang enhancement. And that hope and being able to refile a new petition is my new carrot. But how this relates to children, youth who are out there, every one of you can remember a time when you were young and you just went somewhere just to kick it. You had no plan. Let's go hang out at the store. Let's go hang out at the park. Let's go walk around the mall. You had no plan. And 95% of the time, that's when the youth get into some shit. And when you go somewhere and you don't have a plan, right? You don't know where you're going. And that road ends and branches off, and somebody runs up on you in the park. Hey, what you guys doing here in our park? You can't say I'm having a picnic with my old lady, or you're in the mall. You ain't there buying a shirt. You're just walking around looking for trouble. So it's like the neighbors in prison. If you sit around talking about nothing,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We need to make sure our youth have a plan, that we're not just letting them run around unsupervised and just chilling. That if they're going to do something, of course, there's going to be times that you chill, but let those moments be supervised, or let them be areas that are pro-social, not antisocial and just where people hang.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And when you're bored, you crave excitement. And when you crave excitement, you do things you wouldn't normally do. So for me, having this new plan, it gives my life back the purpose, and it has me inching towards something again. And I think that's a good lesson to end on for parents when they see their kids just willy-nilly every day getting off school, just going to the streets. Or, just running around, hanging out in the store. I just wanted to share that. Get as much off as we can to the parents.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, remember what we talked about off there about next week?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You want to invite everybody next week?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I did mention it. So I did mention it to some of the girls in my group, but I would like to do part 2. So if everyone's willing to join next week, I would love to do a part 2 next Thursday night. Same time. It would be 5:30 p.m. your time. I know it's 8:30 for us, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So we can do part 2. And then I have all week to get everyone to get their questions together. Go ahead, Keith.
No, go ahead, Mark.
No, so I have all week to have everyone get their questions together.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to continue the conversation.
Me too. I love this topic. I think so. Same time, same place, they're saying in the chat. Cindy says, yep. How does that sound to you, Robert? Tony?
Hey, thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to thank you for sharing the platform to you and Keith. Thank you for the invitation, and I'll be glad to participate again. I also want to take the time and tell my family if they're still logged on. I love them, and thank you for supporting me, and thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me be part of this.
Robert, and thank you. I appreciate you joining. It was so nice. I know we just messaged it was late last night, but I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'll message you. I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you.
And Tony, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Right. I want to give some praise here. Because we're over here talking about we need to be cheerleaders. I want to be a cheerleader for Robert's family. I want to be a cheerleader for Andrew and Adrian and Deborah and his wife for doing a stand-up job, raising these kids to come out so good and to do all these good things that Robert's sharing with us, and having a husband who's incarcerated. We don't make mention enough of the moms. You moms are amazing for everything you go through and still support us. Kids in jail, husbands in jail. All of you are beautiful souls, and we're sorry for what we put you through, and we're making the steps now to make it right for the kids, for the world, for the culture, and trust that you got solid people here are going to walk that walk and be here for time to come. So thank you for all the Roberts family and all the listeners, because this is an amazing platform. We're so blessed to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony.
Well said, Tony. Well said. Thank you.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, I appreciate you having you guys on tonight. And again, the fact that your family was here to support you, Robert, that's very special. So I knew having you guys on the platform tonight would be an in-depth conversation that would be honest and vulnerable, and I appreciate it. Tommy always shows up.
Yeah.
Again, you guys are my brothers, man. We've had this journey together. Our lives, they put us here today, in these moments like this to make a difference. And I'm just glad that we were able to create the opportunity for you guys. And like I said, it's all about, coming together and doing good things. So I appreciate having you guys on tonight.
Absolutely.
All right.
I don't
Thank you,
know.
guys. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I don't know where Tommy's. I don't know if his phone died. Tommy dropped again. I don't know if something happened with the phone, but he's not
I don't
here.
know, but it sounded like it sounded like the whole time he was talking this from a bathtub.
Oh,
I
there
wanted
he
to
is.
say it earlier, but it sounded like he was in the bathroom or in the bathtub or something.
In the bathtub. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Wait, he's right here. And Tommy, I hope there he is. He's come back up. Do you hear Keith?
I was turning it up.
This call and
So hopefully you're off next week and you could join us because you're always working, Tommy.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah, we'll
I busted my ankle, so I wasn't working today.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, I'm all right though. Just I was supposed to go in tonight, and I decided I canceled it early on because I knew I had this show I had to do. I wanted I wanted to be able to participate in this one, if not for any other reason than just this is kind of my thing, When it's I always want to be effective towards parents. I did a couple programs while I was in prison where me and Keith we did like Yap and talking to the youth. But I remember as a very young kid that you could reach out to me as much as you want, but if you didn't change my home environment, I was doing exactly the same thing I was doing before. So I think that's for me is like the big thing is trying to reach out to parents.
Absolutely.
Because I think inherently most parents are good, right? I think they want the best for their children. They just don't know how to give it to them, And it's not about money, and it's not about your neighborhood. Because how many kids in a bad neighborhood grow up to be great people? It's about what kind of just showing up for the kids.
Right.
Telling the kids that you appreciate them, that you love them, but not just telling them, but showing them, giving them that, no matter what's going on.
Exactly.
Just show 'em.
And see, I have comments in here. The topic teaches a lot today. Thank you for that comment. Great live and panel. Thank you, Keith, Tommy, Tony, Robert. Like everybody's like thanking you and thanking everyone here. So thank you, everyone in the comments. I appreciate that. They love the topic, Keith. I love it. You men are awesome.
well, it's important.
Yeah.
I knew it would be a special topic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week. In the meantime, Robert and Tony, like I said, think of some different avenues we could go down. Conversation pieces, questions. Like I said, there's no pigeonhole where we got to stay on a certain aspect of it. We could, that's take it where you want to take it. This is a platform for all of us. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to reconvening next week.
Exactly. Me too. Right. I'm excited.
Right. Well,
yeah, so
thank you guys once again. I appreciate it, and you guys all have a good night.
All right.
And, I'm looking forward to Thursday. And
all right, Robert.
I'll do that, Keith. I'll make sure.
Okay.
We'll talk about it when we get a chance, and we'll see what we can come up with, so that way we could take this down, whatever avenue, even Tony, so see where we'll go from here,
Okay. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate you.
All right, Marge.
Good night.
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, Tony. I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Forgot about all my problems. My little old me, and it helps other people. See how helping people helps yourself?
That's right. See, that's just what you need. Keep you busy.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night, Tommy. Good night.
Good night, bro.
All right, buddy. Bye, buddy.
All right. Bye. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye. Thank you. All right.
Yeah,
It was a good live. It was a great live, Keith.
That's I told you, girl. I told you. I'll always come through for you, Mama Mars.
You always come through for me. I knew that. I knew
Yeah,
that. And I know you weren't feeling good, so I was worried. So I was worried about you. If I, like I said, if you weren't available, don't worry about it. But you always come through.
Yeah.
And
Right.
yeah,
I got a family visit tomorrow, so I'll go out tomorrow to family visit
great.
between 1 and 2, and then I'll be back on Sunday, probably around the same time. So
Okay.
bringing the girls, so it's me, Jamie, and my 2 stepdaughters. So it's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's great. Good. You enjoy.
Yeah, they said they're gonna. That's gonna be nice. But I love you guys, and I love you, Tommy. And I'll sign off now so I can check in with Jamie, see how far she's gotten on getting everything ready.
Yeah, she's getting ready.
All right, brother. Love you too. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Margie.
All right, Keith. I'll talk to you. All right. Love you. All right. Tommy, thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, Marge.
You always come through too. You really do. When he said me and Tommy have this together, I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry then.
I got a couple other guys that I work with that I'll have them join in.
Okay.
Next time. When Keith said he had the 4 guys, I was like, all right, don't worry. I won't worry about it too much. So I texted him, oh, don't worry about it tonight. But since we're gonna do a part 2, I'd like for them to get involved.
That would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because they could just, we can bring them up in the box.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love that.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
All right, Marge.
All right. Well, thanks, Tommy. I'll talk to you.
I'll talk to you soon, Marge. You guys have fun. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Out there.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Jamie, enjoy your weekend. I'll be in touch. You take care. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining. We're going to sign off now. It's been a long day. I've been live. I don't know how many hours today. I was live 5 hours this morning. We covered the Harrow case. And then tonight. So I am going to sign off. And then we will be live tomorrow at 2:00. Many hours, right, Cindy? Right? Yeah, we were live for a lot. It's been a long day. Tonight we won't even go over to favorite it. We'll just call it a night here, and I'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you that joined in. Thank you to my mods, everyone who helped me with tonight's live. I see you guys out there. So thank you so much. Katie, thank you. Cindy, thank you. Lauren, thank you. Hope, thank you. Thank you, everyone who's joining. Lisa, I see you. Good night, and thank you so much. So we're going to have part 2 next Thursday night with Keith. Little Francis, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. And I did, my friend requested you also, so I got you. So, all right, everyone, I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night. Stay blessed, and I'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye.